Hello, this is János from thewebplans.com, and in this video I'd like to show you a solution how we can display data on a custom page based on URL parameters. So I have this thank you page here which contains two text elements. This is a very simple example. Of course we can make it more complex. So we have two texts here, one with orange background and one with purple background. So the orange text appears as a normal content of the thank you page, but this purple one would appear when a certain URL parameter appears here. A simple use case: you have a subscription form, and after filling this form you want to lead or take the visitor to a thank you page, and perhaps you want to use the same thank you page all over the place, but depending on where the user comes from, you would display different text. So for example, if I fill this form, this is my name and an email address is for example my office email address, then I submit the form, and as you can see, we landed on the thank you page, but we have here a URL extension or URL parameter. And it would be great to show the text, only this text, if this is the parameter. I use PyOtNet Forms. I just simply use the redirect and I put the URL parameter here at the very end of the URL. You can do it in probably in all of the WordPress form plugins. So let me show you how I did this. So I have the two texts here in Oxygen Builder, and I will use Oxygen conditions. And I'd like to, for this solution, I'd like to create a function. And on Oxygen Builder's documentation, there is a long description about how to use documentation conditions, sorry. And actually on the very bottom, this is the most condensed solution. Of course I made research. I found a Permaslug video on this, very useful. I will put the link on in the description. However, this is a paid solution, so I didn't want to use that. And I also found David McCann's video. That's a different use case, but actually how to understand the Oxygen function, or how to initiate or create a condition. This video helps a lot, so I will also put this in the description. Anyway, the whole function is this. I use Advanced Script. You can use Code Snippets Pro also, or any other plugins, what you want to use. And here is the script. I will put to the blog post in my website the whole script, so you can just copy paste it. First of all, here we need to add this variable from variable to the query. Just one short side note. So most of the times people use get function, but I made some research on Stack Overflow and I found that this is not the best way to get your parameters because of security reasons, as you can see in this comment. And actually one of the most voted solution, yes, exactly, extracting a parameter from URL in WordPress, this solution is, and it uses the get query war function. This is very important, and I actually use this snippet here to make available my from parameter in the default WP query. So that's why we need this. You can name this you can put here anything. You can actually add more rows here to add more parameters, and this actually appears here after the question mark, and then this is the value of that parameter. So actually what I did here is I added query, we don't need this A, we added this to the WP query, the default one, and then I made here the condition. Again, to understand this, I think David McCann's video will help a lot. So here what I did, I named the parameter here, I gave some options here, these are the operators, and I placed it in the list of oxygen conditions, and here is my function, which investigates whether the function and fits to the value based on the operator. This is what is happening here, but let me show you on the oxygen builder. Just refresh the page and hopefully it will appear. So if we go to condition settings in oxygen and we set a condition, we can say that we choose URL parameters, as you can see here, and this is the operator, and here is the value. And what it checks if the get query var from, so it actually pulls the data, the value of the from parameter from the URL, and checks whether this value meets with this value. So I'd like to show this as a general text on the home page, on the thank you page. So if I set the condition equal to nothing, I'll say that if there is no value to the from parameter, this text should be displayed. And if you check it here, no query parameter, I update, and boom, here is the text. But if I do this here, that text disappears. And if I go back to this one, yeah, in the previous testing it stayed here, sorry. So what I do, I check URL parameters are equal to subscription form, because this is the URL parameter what I want to find. If this meets, then the purple text will be displayed. And as you can see, it doesn't appear here because there is no value to the from parameter in this URL, but here we have this subscription form. Of course, there can be more complex use cases, but now this is a simple solution to display content on an Oxygen page based on URL parameters.